Hi everyone! Welcome to Soup Top Recipes. Today we are making Chinese braised lion's head. Don't worry, lion is not on the ingredient list. It's a meatball dish from Huai Yang cuisine. It got the name from its shape, which resembles the Chinese guardian lions. This is a recipe that features the most tender, fluffy, and delicate meatballs. I'm so excited. Let's get started. Here is a piece of skinless pork belly. Try to look for a lean piece, considering that the pork belly is already a fat cut. I'm going to dice it into soybean size. No, you didn't hear me wrong. As one of the 4 major cuisines in Eastern China, Huai Yang cuisine is known for its outstanding knife skills. You can take a shortcut by using ground pork, which I will talk about in a second. But I want to show you the authentic and high-end style because it represents the culinary traditions in Jiangsu province. I freeze the pork belly and partially defrost it so it is a lot easier to work with. Also, sharpen your cleaver before you do this. Once you are done slicing it into slabs, flip them over so the lean side is facing down. You don't want the fatty side to be in contact with the cutting board as it is dangerously slippery. Dicing the meatballs into soybean size will give you the most tender meatballs while still retaining the meat texture. If you use the ground pork that is grinded by the machine, it is too fine and the meatballs will likely come out a bit mushy. You will not get the same experience. However, I understand that not everybody wants to put that much time and effort into one dish, so I will give you a couple of shopping tips. Don't just randomly grab any ground pork from the shelf. Pick a best cut as if you would dice it yourself. Pork belly would be perfect, but if it's too fatty for health reasons, you can go with pork shoulder. Don't use tenderloin as it is too lean. Ask the staff to grind it freshly for you and make sure they only let the pork go through the machine once. Because I know in the USA, most of the supermarkets, they will feed the meat into the grinder 2 to 3 times, which causes the meat turn into a sticky paste. That is not what you want for this recipe. Once you dice them all, use the cleaver to roughly run over the meat a couple of minutes. This is not to grind the meat, rather it is to make sure all the pork bits stick together. Fold it over and keep chopping. As you can see, the pork bits were flying everywhere before, but now it stopped. Okay, that looks good. Put it in a big mixing bowl. I have 100 grams of baby bamboo shoots here. Dice it as well. It provides a crunchy texture which I really like. Bamboo shoot is a bit hard to find outside of China. You can use water chestnut, carrot, shitake mushroom instead. Okay, put the diced bamboo shoot into the mixing bowl as well. Season the meat with 1 tablespoon of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon of oyster sauce, half teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of sugar, and some freshly ground white pepper to taste. Mix it well and set the pork aside. We will make an aromatic water. 1 scallion, smash it and dice it into 1/2 inch long pieces. Half tablespoon of ginger, smash it and roughly dice it. 2 cloves of garlic, slightly crush and dice them. Put everything into a blender. Continue by adding half teaspoon of Sichuan peppercorns and 1/2 cup of water. Blend everything into a puree. You can pound them with a mortar and pestle, or you can grate all the aromatics with a grater and squeeze the juice out of them. But I just think the blender is the easiest tool. Let it go through a sieve to get rid of any stubborn bits. This liquid smells so good that I can just imagine how flavorful the meatballs are going to turn out. We will add 5 tablespoons of cornstarch to it and mix well. Pour the mixture into the pork in batches. Stir it within one direction until all the liquid is absorbed. Then pour in a little more and keep stirring. Once all the starch mixture is gone, continue to whisk the meat within one direction for another 4 to 5 minutes to develop the texture. Evenly divide the meat into 7 batches. It's such an odd number, that is because my clay pot only fits 7 meatballs. To shape them, you just toss the meat in between your hands with a lot of force. Try to get rid of any air pockets. I love the real deal sized meatballs, almost as big as my fist. Do not make it too small, otherwise it will dry out quickly when we brown it. One of the derivatives of this dish is to stuff a boiled quail egg inside. I'm not going to do that today, but it's definitely something you can think about if you are trying to be creative. Or, if you like cheese, you can stuff that in too. It's not Chinese style, but who cares? It's delicious. Set the meatballs aside. Now we will gather some spices. Half tablespoon of Sichuan peppercorns, half of a cinnamon stick, half of a star anise, 2 pieces of bay leaves, 2 scallions, I cut them into 2-inch long strips, 5 to 6 slices of ginger, 4 to 5 cloves of slightly crushed and peeled garlic. Set that aside. There are 2 variations of lion's head meatballs. The first one is 清炖狮子头. It is braised in a clear broth and served with napa cabbage. What we are making today is the red braised style, what we call 红烧狮子头. The braising liquid is super flavorful, and we will caramelize some sugar to give the broth a significant red color. I am going to use a clay pot to braise the meatballs. Drizzle in 1.5 tablespoons of oil. Add 2 tablespoons of sugar. Turn the heat to low and stir the sugar constantly. It is hard to see the color change because this is a black cookware, but you can keep an eye on the bubbles. Like that. Quickly toss in all the aromatics that we prepared before. Stir for a couple of minutes or until fragrant. Pour in 2.5 cups of water and bring this to a boil. Then add 2.5 tablespoons of soy sauce and a 1/4 cup of Chinese cooking wine. You can give it a taste to adjust the flavor. The meatballs are seasoned already, so we just want the soup to be a little less salty compared to your normal taste. The liquid will reduce after the braising, and by that time, the flavor will be just perfect. Move the clay pot off the stove and we will brown our meatballs. I will give you a few different methods. The traditional way is to deep fry them. You just heat the oil to 380 degrees Fahrenheit and add the meatballs in. I use a big silicone spoon to help to keep the shape. Make sure the spoon is heat-proof, otherwise it might melt in the oil. Deep fry it on medium heat for 3 to 5 minutes. We are not trying to cook it through, we just want to get a nice golden brown color on the outside, which will add so much flavor to the broth. You can also use an air fryer. Set it at 400 degrees Fahrenheit for 5 to 6 minutes, or until the outside is nice and brown. An air fryer will save you so much oil, but not everybody has one. So you can pan fry it, but the shape will not be perfectly round anymore. You will get several flat surfaces, and the color may not be even, but it's completely fine in taste. By the way, Make sure you have the braising liquid ready on the side. These meatballs look beautifully cooked on the outside, but the inside is still raw, so you have to transfer them into the braising liquid as soon as you are done browning. Otherwise, they might crack and the juice will leak out, which ruins the texture. Okay, put the clay pot back on the stove. Bring this to a boil and turn the heat to the lowest. Let it simmer for 1 hour. During the simmering, I realized that I forgot the dark soy sauce, so I add a little drizzle. This is just for the color. It will not affect the flavor. When the meatballs are almost ready, you can blanch some baby bok choy. Add a teaspoon of salt and a drizzle of vegetable oil into the boiling water. Let the bok choy stem to cook for 30 seconds and then drop in the rest. The leafy part only takes less than 10 seconds. The water doesn't need to come back to a boil. Take them out. Place the bok choy around the bowl. Red braised lion's head is super flavorful, so you definitely need some vegetables to balance the taste. If you don't have bok choy, you can use broccoli, cucumber, or cabbage. Let's check out the meatballs. They smell so good. One of the standards for lion's head meatball is that you should not be able to pick it up with a pair of chopsticks because it's super tender and would just break apart. Instead, you have to transfer them with a rounded silicone utensil. Look at these jumbo-sized meatballs. This bowl only fits 5 of them, so I put the other 2 in the small serving bowl. Remove all the spices by using a sieve. Pour the soup over the meatballs. Quickly dice some scallions and sprinkle it on the top as a garnish. Let me show you how delicate it is. You can just scoop the meat by using a spoon. It's so juicy and succulent. As it melts in your mouth, all the flavors just burst out. Because we diced the meat instead of using finely ground pork, the meatballs came out so soft, but at the same time, you can still enjoy a little bit of texture. The soup is so savory and it goes perfect over the white rice. Chinese New Year is coming soon, so I hope you can give this a try as it is a celebration dish. Don't forget to check the description where you can find all the links, including the printable recipe, the related videos, the purchase link for special ingredients if you don't know where to buy them, or the tools that I have used in this video. Thank you for watching and I will see you next time. Bye!